everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads. And today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read last week. I read, let's see, 5 books, I believe. Yeah. And I thought I did pretty good, especially since it was the holiday season. If you live in the US, we celebrated Thanksgiving on Thursday, and I made lots of cookies. And if the video comes out okay, I will put a video of my cookie making and everything, just a short one. And yeah, I didn't do a vlog this week, but I thought I would just pop on here and let you know about the books that I read. But before I do that, I would like to say thank you to all the new subscribers that I have, because I have over 300 subscribers now. And that's like really cool. That was kind of a goal of mine, was to get over 300 this year. And so I appreciate everybody who has subscribed to me lately, and those have been subscribed for a very long time. Appreciate y'all. And I don't know, maybe should I do like a Q&A or something? Let me know if you think that would be kind of cool, and then I can let y'all like ask me a bunch of questions, and then I will try to answer them. I don't know. That always worries me, makes me a little nervous. But yeah. So the first book that I have to talk about is Reliquary, and it's by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. And I had to take it back to the library, so I will just pop a picture up here. It's the sequel to Relic. It's the second book in the Pendergast series, and this one was kind of, it seemed like it was a little bit of a continuation from the first one. It had some of the same characters from the museum that was in the first one, and of course we had the Lieutenant de Acosta and Agent Pendergast, and it was about some bad things were happening. They find a woman, and she looked like she was like ate by something, and but it's not exactly human, and there was some things going on, and it involves like down below in like the underground system that they have there. And they're like, I guess they call them like mole people, and there's like a whole community that's living down below. But in the mixed of all, there is some um, kind of nasty kind of thing going on. And from the first book, at the end of the first book, you know something seedy is going to happen with one of the people there because of the I don't know, Mumbai, whatever it was, the creature from there. This guy, you know that he's going to do something, and then that involves what happened in the second book, which is why I'm trying not to spoil anything and stuff. And it was pretty interesting. It wasn't to me as good as the first book, because I really love the first book and I gave it 5 stars. But I did enjoy this one too, and I gave it 4 stars. And I can't wait to get to the third one, but I will probably not get to that until next year. So I'll leave that for like maybe January. And it's just crazy that, saying that I'll get to it next year isn't really that far off. But yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then the next one I have is Killer Research, and that is by Jen McKinley. And this is the newest book in the Library Lover series, and this one was not on my TBR. And but it's my favorite series, and as soon as it came in, I had it on hold on overdrive, and so as soon as it came in, it was pretty much a drop everything and read situation. So yeah, I did that. And in this one, somebody is trying to frame Mrs. Cole for murder, and there's some things going on with Mrs. Cole, and I don't want to say exactly what is going on because, you know, I think it's better if you just read the series and learn as you go. But Mrs. Cole is one of my favorite characters now, but she wasn't always my favorite character. She has had a lot of character growth. They called her the Lemon, so that's kind of how bad she was. But she's one of the librarians there, and she is very straight laced and likes everything to be a certain way, and she's a little grumpy. and everything. And you really, she was one of those characters you really love to hate. But she has had a lot of character growth, and so you're really rooting for her in this one, and some of the things that she's going through and what she's doing and accomplishing and things like that and everything. But somebody is not happy with how things are going, and yeah, so she gets framed. Like, they go to the trunk of her car, and there's a body in her trunk, and so yeah, but I really really enjoyed it, and I just don't think I can talk about it too much without like maybe spoiling some things, since it is the newest book. I think it's like, I don't know, number 12 maybe, or 13. It's somewhere around in there. It's the newest book that just came out this year. And yeah, so I gave this one 5 stars. I really love it. It's just my favorite. I mean, I know I'm going to love them every time I get a new one. It's just my favorite series. So I recommend you start from the beginning because it's really good. Then another one that wasn't exactly on my TBR for this month, and that is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. It came in, I had it on overdrive, the audiobook, and it was almost going back, and I only had a few days left, and I thought, there are people waiting for it, and I'd rather just get it done and get it done and get it sent back, and then not have to worry about it. It's the last book in the series. It was just a trilogy. I'd finish it up, so I just went ahead and done it. But it was 15 hours. It was very long. I think it was a little longer than it really needed to be. And I really liked the first 2 books in this series. So I'm kind of sad to say that it ended for me downhill on a bad note. I really enjoyed the first probably like 50% of it, because things are starting to line up with things that have happened in the previous books. Pip, in the first book, she does a project for her class where she solves a case that is like 6 years old, and some of the things with that. And then somebody in the second book, they want her to find somebody, and she didn't want to do it because, I mean, it was pretty high stakes in the first one, and she almost died. But it kind of gets to her, so she decides to go ahead. Well, things happen at the very end of the second book, and she's dealing with a lot of stuff, and it's really really messed her up a lot. And so she's got like PTSD from the ramifications of the last book and what happened and everything. So I mean, she's really messed up. She's taking some drugs to make herself be able to sleep and calm down, and she keeps telling herself she's not going to, but then she keeps doing it. And now she thinks that she needs to do like this one last case, and she was going to try to find this missing person, but then she starts getting these strange things, messages and things, and when she puts it all together, she realizes that somebody's like stalking her after her. So she decides that she's going to be her last case, maybe, and try to center on trying to figure out who wants her dead, because she keeps getting these messages of who will look for you when you disappear, kind of a thing. And so she's doing that, and that part I liked. It was good. I like to see how that progressed, and I really wanted her to find out who it was. I personally figured it out way before she did, which was a little bit of a letdown, because I thought it was pretty easy to figure out who the bad guy was. So I just thought she would have been able to figure it out a little bit sooner and things. And actually, she didn't even really figure it out until she gets in trouble. But so that was kind of a letdown. But then, like halfway through it, it went from a crime solving podcast to something totally different, and I don't really want to say because it would spoil things, but it just really flipped it upside down, and it just became like a totally different story, totally different line. And it was very morally gray for the character, and I just didn't like how it went. I did not want that to be the way it went for Pip, and so therefore it landed on a bad note for me. Some other people, they might like it. Just for me, that's not what I wanted for Pip, and not what I wanted for the characters. I can understand how it happened and why it happened. I just think that the author could have chose a different way, or at least I would have liked the author to choose a different way. But it's her book; she do what she wants. But I gave it 2.5 stars. I may raise it to 3 stars on Goodreads. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it deserves 2 stars, but just I didn't think it was a 3 star either. So I'm kind of in limbo there. But yeah, I was just really disappointed with how the trilogy ended. But it's done. It's over. I'm finished with that trilogy. I can move on. So the next book I listened to was Falling by T.J. Newman. And this one is about a pilot who has to choose between saving his family or saving all the passengers on the plane. It really makes you not want to fly. And it gives you, kind of an appreciation for pilots and the crew and what they would have to do in a desperate situation. Uh, the pilot, he has his family, he knows that his family is in trouble, but he's a pretty honor bound kind of guy, and he is trying to figure out how to help his family and how to help the passengers and everything. He's not supposed to tell anybody what's going on because there is somebody on the plane that's working for the guy down below on the ground. And so it's like, who do you trust? And he has to try to figure out, but then if he trusts this person, but they have to try to do these other things, but can they trust any of the passengers? Can they get the passengers to quietly go along with things? Um, can you do these things behind without that guy finding out? Can there be some way to get information down to the ground where there are people to try to save his family? And it was a real thrill ride, and it was just like one thing after another, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars, and I don't want to fly anytime soon. And with that, I feel like I am nixing all modes of transportation except for driving at this point, because the next book that I read was The Stowaway by James S. Murray and Darren Wearmouth, and this one is set on a cruise ship. And this one has Maria, who she was on a trial with a serial killer. He was a child killer, and they were having a really hard time with the trial. And it had, at the beginning, there was one of her friends that she made on the jury was having a hard time with the decision of guilty or not guilty. Everybody else pretty much thought, he was guilty, but they knew that there's somebody that is having a hard time. Well, Maria was kind of, having a hard time too, and she's talked about it with her friend, and then it ends up in a mistrial because there is that one person that still decided to vote not guilty. And things go on and everything, but it's really hard for the jurors because there are the parents that are like stalking them and stuff and saying, which one of you is the one that, voted not guilty and set this guy free and stuff. And she's pretty much had it up to here with all of this. It's really driving her crazy and everything. And so she does something a little drastic, gets the attention of everybody, and trying to be discreet about not spoiling anything. And anyway, it's been like 10 months after that happened. Like, so it's probably been a year or even a little bit more than a year since the trial. And her boyfriend, or, well, now fiance, is going to take her and her 2 kids on a cruise to try to forget about things, try to just kind of move on with their life. And there is something that's going on the cruise ship that is the same earmarked for exactly what that killer did and things. And some children go missing and some bad things are happening, and she knows it's this guy. She knows it's him, and she's got to try to figure out, get people to believe her, get, the cruise ship security. I mean, and they're not equipped to handle what's going on and everything, and you're stuck in the middle. I mean, it doesn't start happening until they're in the middle of the ocean. So like it's going to be so many days to get back to where they started, or so many days to get to their destination. So I mean, they don't have a choice on what's going to happen. They have to try to figure it out. And I mean, they can't go back or go forward without, it's the same time. So it doesn't really matter. And so she's trying to figure out exactly what happened. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And like I said, it makes you not want to go on a cruise anytime soon either. So I just nixed those modes of transportation for right now. I will give a kind of a trigger warning type thing for Stowaway. It was a thriller horror, so it does have a lot of horror aspects to it, and it does contain horror and children. So if you can't handle like the mutilation of children and things like that in your books, I wouldn't recommend you read this book because it got a little graphic sometimes, and I was even like, ugh. But so yeah, so if you don't like that kind of stuff, I would stay away from this book. But it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I read his book, Don't Move, last year, I think it was, with my friend Barb, and we both gave it kind of it was okay, 3 stars, but we absolutely hated how it ended. And this one, it ended okay, but it still ended kind of open. And I think maybe this author duo likes to leave these open ending weird things where you don't know if they'll do a sequel, or are they just leaving it like that way for you to just go, you know. But yeah, so this one had kind of that, but it was better, so I gave it 4 stars than his other book, Don't Move. So yeah, those are the books that I finished. I'm still working on Mastermind by Andrew Main, and I almost got it finished, but I mean, I wanted to get this video up, so I gave up on finished, but I'm like 77% into it, so I almost had it finished, but I just wanted to go ahead and get this book. So as soon as I get off of here and get this video edited, I will be finishing this book tonight, but so you'll know what I think about it next go around. But yeah, I enjoyed it so far, but at the same time, it's really, really far-fetched, but you know. And I'm still reading on Spy School at Sea. Gotten a little bit farther. Uh, it's just I've had all these other books going, and some books I moved up on the TBR, and some I put down, and so I just really haven't got a chance to read on this one. But I do want to try to finish it before November is over, which is only a few more days, so gotta really get going on this one. So after I finish Mastermind, I do need to concentrate on this one. So those are the two that I at least hope to get done before November is over. But yeah, I didn't get to half of the books that I wanted to in November, but it was a pile of possibilities, and I got to a lot of them, so I'm okay. And that's that. And let me know if you have read any of these books or what your thoughts are, especially if you have read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I would be really curious to know what your thoughts were. Just don't be spoiler about it. But I mean, did you feel the same way I did? Like you just didn't like how it ended, or did you like how it ended? I'd be curious to know. But if you've read any of these other books, chat me up in the comments, because I always like to see what you guys are thinking about the books that I'm reading. And if you have any kind of recommendations, because you know the kind of books that I do like to read, feel free to recommend a book in the comments, because I would always like to look it up and give it a try if I think it looks good. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!